to the show. And I love when those trains go by, gets everybody excited and ready for another new week. You know, we only get this one life. This is it. I saw my motivational quote went off this morning, and it said, well, you want some motivation? You get one life. I'm like, that's pretty good. I like that. Well, motivation, you get one life. But thanks so much for joining to the show. This is the Freight Train Mindset Podcast. I'm Jimmy Bohealer, your host, jimmybohealer.com, to get all kinds of free stuff. Everybody likes free stuff. And then also a great shout out to our sponsors. If you're looking to save money on your cable bill, go to 3000channels.com and also epic-channels.com. And then if you are looking for lending needs, all your commercial lending needs, freighttrainlending.com. And then to sum that up and to get the bills paid and all that fun stuff, what I recommend is really slowing down to speed up. That's what we like to talk about right here on the train. And we've got a special guest today. So we're excited today because I love having guests on. I love them talking about their business, what they do, and how they help folks. Because, guys, quit chasing the money. I did it. That was me. I chased the money. But when you start chasing the help, that's when everything changes. So again, hit that subscribe button. If you're driving, please keep your eyes on the road. If you are listening here, take you some notes. You know, the great Tony Robbins will say, take notes and you'll remember it even better. So thanks again for joining the Freight Train Mindset Podcast. Again, go to jimmybohealer.com to hop on. We are on iHeartRadio and Apple Podcast as well. And of course on YouTube. So today, let's introduce, I have the exciting and pleasure, I'm so excited, I'm pleasured to introduce Doug McGreal with us. Doug is a business and success coach for over 20 years. So this guy's the expert, okay? There is no other coach out there but Doug, okay? He's the guy that you need to go to when it comes to, getting coaching, getting advice, because I've got several coaches. The great Phil Mickelson's is a golfer. He's got 7 coaches. 7 different coaches, because you just can't see when you're in the painting, you just can't see the painting. So keep that in mind. He's also the president head coach of the Growth Coach out of Northern New Jersey, and he's committed to helping businesses and individuals grow through strategic coaching and mindset shifts. So without further ado, let's bring on Doug and see what he's got to say. So Doug, thanks so much for being on the podcast, man.
Jimmy, thanks so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we were having a conversation. Me and Doug met, I don't know, it's been a couple of weeks, maybe a couple months now. We chatted and we just really hit it off. It was a great conversation. I have told people network. The money's in networking. So you never know who you're going to run across, who's going to know who you need to meet. And I met Doug and I was like, man, you got to be on my podcast. I want you to share about your business, but tell us a little bit about Doug. Who is Doug? Where are you located at? And a little bit about your business and why you got into it. So if you go about 2 or 3 minutes here, just talking about your journey up to where you're at right now.
You got it, Jimmy. Thanks so much. So really I started the Growth Coach, which the Growth Coach is a franchise, which provides some incredible tools, for experienced individuals, experienced professionals, to launch an effective coaching business. I have over 20 years experience, in human resources, love human resources, but I always loved the development space. That was my favorite.
Yeah.
Just thinking about my career in the corporate space, we had launched, some coaching programs in the past in our organizations, and that was where my heart was. I noticed how effective it was. I noticed what an effective tool it was. And I said to myself, Jimmy, one day I'm going to open up a coaching business of my own to help professionals, to help people in transition with their careers, to help the small and mid-sized business owner to succeed and get to the next level. So that's what I've done. This business, I've had it for a little over a year. I've met some amazing people, done all the things that business owners do to grow their business. I'm doing that myself.
Right.
And I want to impart my, my knowledge, my expertise, my experience with people, and help them level up, and, evolve in their business, change their behavior, and grow, just as what the Growth Coach says. It's all about growth.
I love it, man. Great journey. I love bringing folks on because everybody has a different journey. Everybody's path is different. Everybody's track, as we like to say around here, is going a different direction. But once you find that space, that desire, that passion, as Napoleon Hill talks about, you really just dive in and you don't work another day in your life. Now it's just fun and exciting. So I brought Doug on because, man, we started talking about it was fun when we had our one-to-one. We started talking about time management, and we just kind of started joking and we laughed about it, and then we kind of started getting serious and going, man, this is a huge issue. And if you're listening right now and maybe you're just not getting it all done, you're that person that raises their hand as you're listening to this and you go, I don't have enough time. Anybody else heard that? I heard that a couple of times, right? I just don't have enough time. And especially now school's getting back in, Doug, the routines are getting a little crazy. I heard a lady the other day, I looked at her calendar and she had, soccer, going to soccer, and then we're going to football, and then we got baseball coming up in the spring, and we've got this contest and this and all these things going on. And me and Doug have realized it's really not that hard. We make it harder on ourselves. So let's talk about a little bit time management, if you don't mind, Doug, for a few minutes. And let's talk about some of the issues when it comes to time management and how important it is by, I say this a lot, just a small shift. Think about that just a small shift in your schedule could give you, I would say, hours, maybe even 2 hours a day, maybe several hours. I don't know, Doug, what do you think about time management? And what about prioritizing? Is that important?
Jimmy, you nailed it. I mean, when we talk about businesses, right, there's a number of challenges within running a business, where you're in the midst of your career. It could be, it could be growing your business. It could be leadership. It could be employees. It could be money and budgeting. But time is the only thing that we have, that we can't get back. Everything else we can get back.
That's right.
So your question, just, prioritizing is probably, the linchpin of a lot of time management. And I'll tell you right now, we make lists, we make all types of things out, but we fail to prioritize probably what's the most important things. And that is literally, one of the focuses that I spend on is like, what are you spending your time doing? What's making you the most effective?
Yeah. So that's what I would recommend people doing. If you're listening to this right now, take a note on this, and that is, write down what you're doing on a daily basis, because you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you're at. So if you can look at your schedule and look where you're putting your time, and is it really important to what you're trying to do? As a small business owner, I've got 4 businesses, and trust me, I have to bounce around. Sometimes I don't even know how I get it done, but prioritizing is really the key to it. Is writing down, hey, this is what I got to get done. This is what's most important, and putting everything else aside and allowing, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes about time blocking. I think that's coming up in the next section, but prioritizing, saying, this is what's number one. This is what it, because when you go to bed at night, and you wake up the next day and goes, did I get anything done? I've heard that a lot. Hadn't you?
100%. And that's really where you're, even the day before, really, it's about planning what you're going to be doing, not just a day, but in a week. Starting to look at those things and putting those priorities and knowing that they're coming up and knowing when you're going to be doing them. I mean, it puts you at such ease. Even if you put something like when we scheduled this podcast, a couple of weeks ago,
right?
Having it on the calendar, knowing exactly, and then preparing for it.
Let's break it really. Yeah. Let's break it down even more into the household here. Of every week, we write out Monday through Friday what we're having for dinner. Now, I don't know if most families do that. Some do, some don't, some eat out, but that's what we do. And so I know when I go to the grocery store that I got to pick up this item, this item, this item, this item, because that's what we're having on Thursday and Friday. Same thing works in business, right, Doug? I mean, you've got to say, okay, on Friday, I've got a meeting with so-and-so. I've got to get this. I've got to get this. And you got to be prepared for that meeting, because you don't know maybe what they're going to ask, or you're going to have all your notes together. And doing that sometimes the day of, you're just not going to be prepared, and you're not going to get it done. Agreed?
No. And also, too, I mean, knowing when you get up in the morning, knowing what you're going to be doing during the day, right up that, how much time do you save? It just empowers you completely. Just looking at the day view in your calendar when you're actually looking at the day and just knowing what you're going to be doing, totally empowering. And, a number of people, unfortunately, in different spaces, they're not doing that.
That's right. So that leads me into time blocking, because it is important. Prioritizing is important. But if you're prioritizing and all of a sudden here comes the distraction, here comes the kids, here comes the spouse, here comes, oh, we have a family emergency. but you got to block that off. You can't. Yeah, I say it all the time.
100%.
Yeah, it's I always say that either the train, or I like to use the boat analogy, but there's a lighthouse out there. Let's say it's a boat. There's a lighthouse out there. The waves are going to come. The distractions are going to come whether we like it or not. But how strong are you to say, I can't, to say no? That would be a good way to probably time block. Is just, you got to be able to allow yourself to say no to something else so you can put the prioritizing in place. Agreed?
100%. Prioritize and be realistic with your time blocking. And what's time blocking, right? It's taking segments of time in your day
That's right.
and literally committing to doing a task or setting a meeting or whatever you plan on doing, within a period of time. But be realistic with yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's one of the things people necessarily, they get excited about time blocking and they fill up their whole day. Start off simple, block off two blocks in the morning, 2 blocks in the afternoon, and pick some tasks. You'll be surprised how effective it is, even just within a few hours in a day, like how much more you'll get done knowing that you've blocked it off, you've committed to it, and you've avoided those distractions.
Yeah. And then you go to bed and say, man, I got all this done. How did I do it? Because you blocked it off. You prioritize it and you blocked off that this is what you got to get done. I love it. This is good. Let's move into those habits. We talked about that there at the beginning when we first started talking here. Habits are so important. The affirmations, the motivation. I mean, I will never forget when I first got into Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich and Wallace Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. When I got into those books, one of the first things I did was started listening to affirmations at night when I went to sleep. And boom, in the morning, I put my headphones in and I listened to those affirmations. I would get in that habit of, when I go to bed, this is what I got to do when I wake up. Because the great Napoleon Hill said, you got to see it at night and you got to see it in the morning. You got to be specific on those goals. So when it comes to habits, Doug, that's got to go right along with time blocking prioritization. You've got to have the right habits in place, because you can prioritize and time block, but you might be time blocking and prioritizing the wrong thing.
100%. And habits can be simple, or you can make them really hard. But, again, picking simple habits to start with and making them consistent and then stacking them on top of each other is really the key. I think people spend a lot of time trying to be like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, what's a habit? A habit is really a series of habits, is really a system, right? The more good habits you have, the better your system, the better your process, and the more success that you're going to have.
Man, you're so right. And one thing that we can even dive a little deeper into this, and let's really get the people thinking here, isn't that subconscious too? Because even when you're saying that, you hear some of your clients saying, I can't. And if that's what you're saying, we don't even say that word in our household. That's a bad word in our household. It's just challenging. We use challenge. It's challenging. But my point is when you get it in your subconscious, that's why I did the affirmations. That's why we're talking about habits, is you get it in your subconscious. You drive a car, right, Doug? You put your seatbelt on, but you don't think about that, right? That's your subconscious putting that seatbelt on. Okay, what we're trying to do here with Doug is explain, number one, you need a coach, to call Doug. And number two, getting in the right habit so that your brain don't even have to think. You do your affirmations, you do your workout. Now you prioritize. And that's when success, ask any successful person out there, are you on a routine? And every single one of them, don't you agree, Doug, are on some type of routine?
100%. And a routine, I mean, people, I think, spend a lot of time thinking about goals and how I'm going to achieve that, but it's those little incremental things they're doing every day that's getting them to their goals. So, I mean, if you've read the book Atomic Habits, obviously that is one of the big linchpins around it. It's really around what processes you're putting in place. What are you doing on a daily basis? It's as simple as, if you're in shape, chances are you're working out 3 times a week. If you're eating well 5 times a week, your body's going to be healthier, on and on and on. But I mean, that's really the linchpin. It's your processes. I know some really effective people in business who have amazing processes, and guess what? Their businesses, are really amazing. And then I have other people who, they appear to be knowing what they're doing. They're smart as heck. They're just as smart as the person who has these processes, but they don't have them in place. And that's where coaching, that's where helping somebody or empowering somebody is so important, and helping them change those behaviors and and get to those habits and process so they can be more effective.
I mean, man, hopefully you're right. I hope some folks listening are writing some notes down. This is powerful nuggets he's giving you. And it's eat step by step. Just take it step by step. How do you eat an elephant? Bite by bite. You were talking about a book, another book that's great that I think of is Winning by Tim Grover. He actually coached Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. And he used to talk about their routines. You couldn't even keep up. Believe it or not, I think Steve Carr was saying over the Olympics last month that he was shocked at LeBron James's routine. He said he couldn't believe a guy with that steady. He's up first one in the gym and last one to leave. And that's what it takes in business, guys. You've got to start getting up earlier. You got to start writing stuff down. If you want a business, not a habit, but not a hobby. Sorry, a hobby. You don't want a hobby. You want a business. Then you got to start working that business like a business. So that moves me to my next one. All this technology out there. How in the world do we keep up with it? Is this something that's even distracting us because of flashy lights every time we're online, every time we're on social media? Buy me, save time here, buy my software. That's got to be something that's striking us and getting our attention as well, right, Doug?
No, without a doubt. And when I say when I say leverage technology, I mean use less of it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's amazing and it's incredible. But just like we were talking about before, leveraging one system, one system within technology, like, whether it's Microsoft Outlook, the to-do list in Microsoft Outlook, the calendar feature in Microsoft Outlook, whatever it is that you choose to use, use that tool. Don't use 5 tools,
Right.
And don't get yourself, caught up in the daily, scrolling on your phone and so on and so forth. As much as we've all done it, right? Adults, just like kids, we all do it. But the more you harness that, the more you pull away from technology, believe it or not, the more effective you. Because then when you use technology, you're using for effective purpose. And then guess what? You're only going to propel yourself forward.
Yeah. I think of the term KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Is keep it simple. The more you start throwing on your plate, here we go with time management again. Now all of a sudden, by not time blocking, not prioritizing, now you're getting distracted and now you're going away again. And here we go with that. So, man, we have said so much. All right, as we start to land the plane and slow down the train, as we start to do that, Doug, let's hand it off to others. Let's quit taking so much on ourselves sometimes. Great successful people, they will ask them if they have a team, every single one of them. You cannot be successful by yourself. You just can't. You've got to have help of others. So the last point I think me and Doug want to really emphasize to my listeners, and again, if you want to reach out to Doug, I'm going to have all his information in the caption. We'll have his email so you can reach out to him. I'm sure he'll do a quick free consultation or something to just see where you're at, just to see if it's a good fit. And definitely do that. Definitely reach out, Doug. Say you heard it on the podcast here. But let's go to this last point here of delegating and giving. I think there's a great book out there, The 4-Hour Work Week. That's probably a good one to think of on the books on that. But what would you recommend for some of these clients that you've dealt with? How did you use delegation and letting others kind of take some of the burden off of the pressure when it comes to being a business owner?
Well, a lot of business owners, and rightfully so, they start their business, their heart and soul is in the business. So they become the business. And nobody can do it like they can do it. And we know this is the case, and we run into this all the time. But, what do we really do? We hire people, we work with different people. And by empowering people, giving people, skills, training, but also to giving them those tasks that are taking your time, by giving them, working them through it, letting them learn it and grow, you're just going to be empowered. You're going to be able to do more. So delegation is really a powerful tool. I think the mindset shift that has to happen is, I'm not doing this alone. I have support. That is where you have to start. I have support. I've hired support and I want to leverage it. And you have to change. You have to start thinking that mindset. And believe it or not, people will step up to the plate for you. You'd be surprised.
Yes.
You would be surprised. So don't be, if you've got an assistant, if you've got somebody you haven't given them, enough training to or enough attention, leverage them. Do it now.
Yeah. And I think of Napoleon Hill talking about you've got to put it in the universe. You've got to put it
Yep.
out there that's what you're doing and that's what you're looking for. Because Doug, I'm sure you went through it just like I have. As they come out of it, I didn't even know where they came from. You know what I mean? They just come out and here they are. So as we sum it up here with Doug, and the growth coach is his business. I mean, wow, what a day. Hopefully you guys got some good points on this. I mean, my goodness, the things that you can do with your time when you get it set up, when that organization. And the other thing I want to bring up too is the mindset. You mentioned that at the end there was, this is the Freight Train Mindset podcast. And that's one of the things that you can really change your whole business with a small shift in that mindset. Just a small, hey, try this instead of this, do this instead of this, block this instead of this.
100%.
And so I'm excited about the, folks taking those nuggets, take it bite by bite. Do the first one. Let's start prioritizing. Take that, work on it this week. Next week, work on the time blocking and just gradually build up. And you'll see, my coach says 1%. That's all we got to do. 1% growth every day. That's it. That's all you got to do. You do 1% growth and you will be shocked in 90 even to 180 days where your business will be at. So Doug, thanks so much for coming on. If you've got any last minute words you'd like to say to the audience about being, a lot of my audience is small business owners, most of them, some of them are W2, they're looking to get into small business, but from a mindset standpoint and from a time management, any last words you'd like to leave with our audience?
Yeah. I mean, I think in the end, people are working and they want to have, a balance in their life, right? That's usually the term. And the most effective way to be balanced, the most effective way to really, really, live a fulfilling life is to get control of your time. That little extra discipline that you're going to have will actually give you more time, to do the things that are the most meaningful in your life. And again, this is also too one of those things that you can focus on today and it can make a difference every day going forward.
That's it, man. Good stuff, man. Well, thanks again, Doug, for being on the show. Of course, a big shout out to our sponsors, FreightTrainLending.com. Also, if you're a small business owner, you're looking for financing for your clients, financingforclients.com. And then, of course, if you're looking to save money on your TV bill, go to 3000channels.com or also epic-channels.com. So anyway, thanks to Doug for having us, being on the show, and look forward to maybe hopping back on maybe toward Christmas, maybe a couple of months from now. We'll talk about something else that Doug is out there helping folks with. So again, if you get time, reach out, quick email, quick phone call, whatever it takes. Would you recommend, real quick before we close it up, everybody needs a coach, right? Does everybody need a coach?
And what a coach is really doing, a coach is helping you to change behavior, for you to take action.
Yes.
To help you take accountability. That's really what a coach is. A coach isn't always going to tell you what to do or how to do it. It really is just about helping you change behaviors and actions to get more effective results. 100%. Everybody needs a coach.
And a lot of times I like to close it like this. You can listen to this podcast, but until you do the action, nothing will change. 100%. Have a great day, folks. Thanks y'all for listening.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Bye-bye.